And let's add custom villagers to Minecraft. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x all in one place, linked down below in the description. And we find ourselves back in the tutorial once more, and in this tutorial we'll be adding a custom villager profession / villager trade profession, to Minecraft over here. And this is of course going to piggyback off of last tutorial where we added the villager trades, and now we also will have a completely custom villager profession. Now this is going to start at a very weird location, and that is the tags, because we need to add some custom tags. Now those are neither block nor item tags. These are going to be villager trade tags. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but the villager trades are insane. Specifically for custom villagers, there's a lot of steps that we need to go through. So this is going to be the trades class over here, where we're going to have a private static tag key of type villager trade. There we go. This is the create tag method with string name parameter, correct. We return tag key dot create registries dot villager trade, and then this is going to be an identifier from namespace and path, and there we go. Easy enough. And then we need two tags because we're going to have two different levels. So this is going to define what the villager trades are for each level. This is the same thing that we've seen last time. As always, all of the code is available to you down below. There are quite a few things over here that we are going to need. This is the Kaupenjoe underscore level underscore 1, and this is equal create tag. This is exactly right. Not quite actually. We actually want Kaupenjoe, and then I'm going to do / level 1. That's exactly right. And then we'll do the second one for Kaupenjoe 2, and then here 2. Easy enough. So those are going to be our two tags. They will be populated in a little bit. First, we need two new data gen classes, and that's going to be the trade sets as well as the poi tags. Is this actually the second one we're going to do? We're going to do the trade set first and then the villager. Yes. This is the mod trade sets over here. And then we also are going to just already created the mod poi tags. We'll need that in a second, but first the trade sets. For this, I will copy over the 3 helper methods. You'll understand why when you see them, because, why type all of this craziness out. Basically, this is here for registering the trade set. Now, what is a trade set? When you open up, when the villager spawns, it has a set of trades. So basically, you know how you can destroy the block and then set it back down, and then it has a different set of trades. That's, if I understand it correctly, that's a trade set. So you have a certain number of trades, as you can see, that are in there, and that's a trade set. That's how I understand it, and it basically chooses one, and you have to connect the trade set with the tag. So we're going to have two public static final resource keys of type trade set right here, trade set. There we go. And this is going to be the Kaupenjoe underscore level underscore 1 equal to the create method with Kaupenjoe / level 1. And the same thing goes for the 2. There we go. So the idea being that now when we call the public static void bootstrap method over here, right? Bootstrap with a bootstrap context of type trade set, right? There we go. This is going to be the context right here. And we will then call the register method, passing in the context, passing in the, let's do the level 1 over here. So this is level 1, and then mod tags dot trades dot Kaupenjoe level 1. And then we do the same thing for level 2. The idea here is that while the tags, right, they contain all possible trades that this particular villager profession can have at this level, while the trade set includes only the ones that are available right now for this particular villager, if that makes sense. This is the way that I've understood it. If there's any, I'm pretty sure that that's how that works, but I'm only about 89% sure. Okay, so there's a little bit of leniency over here. So if there is a slight inaccuracy, feel free to leave a comment down below. That is the trade sets over here. We're going to need that in a second, or actually like kind of right now, because now we're going to go to the tutorial mod package, make a new package called villager, and inside of there we'll make the mod villager class. So this is the mod villager class right here, or actually mod villagers, let's say. Yep, there we go. And this is going to have two deferred registers because we need to register two different things. The one is the villager profession, and the other thing is the poi type. I basically always put them together because from us over here, we never need another poi type. If you are, maybe you want to make like custom types of bees or something like that, then maybe you also need a poi type for something else. For our purposes, we're just going to make a public static final final deferred register of type poi type right here is going to be our poi underscore types equal to, of course, the deferred register dot create. Then we have built-in registries dot poi type. This is point of interest type, sorry, point of interest type over here. And then tutorial mod ID, exactly right. We can duplicate this and we can get the villager profession over here going. And this is the villager underscore professions. And then here, of course, villager profession. Easy enough. So those two deferred registers are, of course, needed. And then we have the register method over here with an iEvent bus. I'm going to call this event bus though. Yeah, there we go. And then we call the poi types as well as the villager professions. Pretty good suggestions over here. Let's call this register method in our tutorial mod class because that is a very easy thing to forget. This is the mod villagers dot register, passing in the mod event bus. Easy enough. So we can close this. We can let's keep this open for the time being. We're going to start with a poi type. Very straightforward. A poi type, high level overview in this case for a villager profession is where they get their profession from, right? So where are we going to actually get this profession? Now, a poi type always needs a state, so a block state, and we'll see how this is going to look like in a second. This is going to be a public static final holder of type poi type, and this is going to be the Kaupenjoe equal to poi types dot register, and this is the Kaupen underscore poi. Second parameter is a supplier of a new poi type here in this case with an immutable set dot copy of, and this is going to be modblocks dot, we're going to do the magic block dot get state definition dot get possible states. I'll explain this in a second. And we'll have a 1 and a 1 over here for the max tickets and the valid range. The idea is as follows. When we have a particular point of interest, it is possible that the block that is the point of interest that we're defining right here has multiple possible block states. We think, for example, about the lamp block, right? So we think back to the lamp block, the Azurite lamp block, that can have two different states, you know, clicked on or clicked off. And the idea is that the poi type right here gets all of the possible states, and that is still a valid type at that point. That's the idea of this. In theory, you can also change it so that only one of them is a possible type. That's totally fine, and that would work. Another very important point. This is a thing that I see a lot of people want to do, but it doesn't quite work. And that is that we have this poi type over here, and you can see right here is the bootstrap method for the poi types in vanilla. You can see, you know, armorer, butcher, so on and so forth. And we also have like home beds, and we even have a beehive and a bee nest with the states for the beehive and the bee nest. It's very important that when a poi type is registered for a specific block, so for example here, the beehive and the bee nest, those are for the bees to use, right? So the bee nest and the beehive are bee specific ones. This is why they have 0 max tickets, because those are not actually used to get a profession. Those are used by the bees. And the issue is if a block has already been used to make a poi type, you cannot use that block again. I've seen a lot of people trying to make a custom poi type for like a bee type villager, and then they use the bee nest or the beehive, and they're like, it doesn't work, I'm getting an error. Yes, because the issue is that you can only use the block once for a specific poi type. It just is what it is. And that is the poi type. Next up is the holder of villager profession over here. This is the Kaupenjoe equal to villager professions dot register. This is the Kaupenjoe. There we go. And this is a supplier of a new villager profession. Now this is going to look absolutely insane. Could we make a helper method for this? 100%. Are we going to? Right now, no. Okay. So this is going to be a component literal. This is the Kaupenjoe. Then after the first closing parenthesis, we'll do a, this is a predicate. So this is a holder, and then of holder.value equals Kaupenjoe.value. So if those match, then another, this is another holder, and this is going to be for the holder.value equals Kaupenjoe.value. So basically the two predicates, if those match, if that's true, then that's good. I'll explain that in a second. Then two immutable sets.of, then a mod sounds. Let's do, I don't know, valuables found. I don't like that. Let's do sound events. Let's try to do like an amethyst chime or something like that. I think that's okay. Yeah, amethyst shine. I like that. That's a good idea. And then an int to object map of entry. It actually suggests this to us. And then here we have an int object map entry of 1, and then mod trade sets. Look at this. Mod trade sets Kaupenjoe level 1, comma. Then the second one, Kaupenjoe level 2, with of course a 2 right here, ending it with a semicolon, no errors in sight. And as always, all of the code is available to you down below. Highly recommend. It's so easy to make a typo in this one because it's just crazy. But let's just see what each individual thing does. We can actually just go into the villager profession, and we can see the first one here is the held job site. So we basically making a predicate saying, hey, is this poi type, like, you know, can you hold your job over here? And then where can you acquire your job? That's why both of those are basically, hey, if the holder of the poi type is the Kaupenjoe, then we're true, meaning that this is where we get ourselves the jobs from. Then we get a requested items and a secondary poi. In our case, we do not have those. If we take a look at the farmer, for example, and that would be in the villager profession farmer right here, you can see that the immutable set over here of the items that the farmer wants is wheat seeds, beetroot seeds, and bone meal. And then it has a farmland as its secondary poi. And then here you can see the last one is the int2 object map of entries, which in this case also is basically has the different trade sets. Now, what I do notice is that the villager profession at this point is also actually using the bootstrap method. I believe that at some point we're probably going to switch to that as well, or theoretically we could feasibly already switch, although it returns a villager profession in the bootstrap. That's a little bit weird. This works slightly differently than the other bootstrap methods that I'm familiar with. Regardless though, this is the villager profession, so that's the whole idea here in this case, like what each of the different things do. And then the sound here is of course the sound that it uses for working, I guess. Right, next up is the mod poi tags right here, which will extend from the poi type tags provider. Exactly, this one right here. Let's hover over this, create constructor matching super. We're gonna take the second one and then delete the string right here, because we of course know our mod ID, which is tutorial mod.mod ID. Easy enough. And then here we call the add tags method, get or create raw builder, poi type tags, this time, dot acquirable job site, dot add tag entry dot element, mod villagers dot count poi dot unwrap key dot get dot identifier. A little bit crazy, but it is what we need to do here. So basically we are putting in the poi tag. So basically saying, hey, the count poi is a possible point of interest where a villager might acquire a job. We have to add it to that particular tag, otherwise it's not going to work. Let's connect all of those things up because the rest is just additions. So when I say connect everything up, what does that mean? Well, that means we go to the mod data pack provider, where we're going to first of all add the trade set. So this is the trade set, and then mod trade sets bootstrap over here. So let's just like format this slightly differently. There we go. Then we go to our data gen class, where we need to add the mod villagers, the mod poi tags right here. Absolutely fantastic. That is exactly right. So that finishes this one, that finishes this one, that finishes the villagers right here. Boom, boom, boom. And now we just need to add the new trades, which works the exact same way that we have added trades before. Idea being that we add the trade keys right here. So this would be, let's go with the trades themselves, right? So Kaupenjoe 1, and then just for the sake of argument, we'll also do Kaupenjoe 2, of course, with different trades right here. To make this a little bit easier on ourselves, I basically have already created those. So let me just copy over the keys so we can see emerald chisel, emerald raw azurite, emerald chisel, and then here azurite magic block. Once again, I've just created those already. There should be literally no question mark on this. If you don't understand making the resource keys, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna be real. We're also gonna copy over the contents here. So to basically do that, do we not even have a chisel? Oh, we didn't do the chisel. We did the what is it called? Metal detector. That's fine. We can do metal detector. That's okay. So there's gonna be emerald metal detector and emerald metal detector over here. That's okay. That's fine. Does it make sense to have the same trade over here twice? Listen, okay, it's for educational purposes only. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, this is the general idea. So it works the exact same way of adding the trades to the vanilla villagers as to your own, because we then also need to go to the mod villager trades tags or trade tags right here, and exactly get or create. Then we do mod tags dot trades dot Kaupenjoe level 1, and then we add over here the tag entry of element, and then this is mod villager trades dot Kaupenjoe 1 emerald detector identifier, and we can duplicate that line right here to also give them the Kaupenjoe for the raw azurite. We duplicate this whole mess for the level 2 and for the level 2 right here, which is going to be the detector, that's correct, and then the other one is going to be the azurite magic block 1. There we go. And finally, we have done it. We have added our custom villager and our villager traits. The last thing that now stands in our way is the assets. This is where we start with a very interesting and easy entity Minecraft villager tutorial mod Kaupenjoe called Kaupenjoe right here. Very straightforward indeed. And then the texture goes under textures entity, and that is where we need to make a new directory called villager, and then inside of it we need to make another new directory called profession. Make sure that this is written correctly with one F and two S, and then here we get the Kaupenjoe.png, of course also available to you down below, and there we have it. So this is textures entity villager profession Kaupenjoe.png. Absolutely fantastic. And with this craziness done, we can now run the data gen to generate the JSON files. Like I said, most of this stuff is at this point JSON files, and that is 9 of them. It's not actually that many because it's 4 trade runs right here. Then we have 2 tags, so that would be 6. And then I guess these 2 tags, which is another 2, and then 1 more. Oh, and then 4 different, I don't even know. Surely it's fine. Let's just jump into the game and see if it trades. All right, fans, let's back in Minecraft, and let's just replace these guys with our magic block right here. And look at that. We got ourselves some freaking Kaupenjoes. How cool is that? Okay, why did you not? You frick. Well, it's fine. There we go. We got ourselves some trades right here. Obviously, the trade set is basically always going to be the same because we only have 2 trades, and they only have 2 trades per level. So, you know, it's always going to be the same trades. Regardless, though, that is some really cool stuff. The counter right here, this is most likely, oh, this is the literal. That's why it doesn't probably translate over here. You should probably change this to the Kaupenjoe. I don't think you need to translate this because it's always going to be called Kaupenjoe. I mean, I guess if you have a actual name, right? If it's a beekeeper, then obviously you should do a, not a literal, but a translatable right here. But for our purposes, I think that's fine. And there we go. That is a custom villager over here added to Minecraft. And that's going to be it for this tutorial right here. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for all the patrons and the YouTube members. Don't forget, if you become a Stonebricks member, you get up to 14 days of early access, including this video right here. We'll add custom keybinds. Hope to see you there. So, yeah.